All right, welcome to the GBNO show, the Get Better Not Older show. I am Dr. Rob. This is my awesome wife, Shannon. Say hello, Shannon.
Hello, Shannon.
I love how you walked right into that. So if you haven't watched before, I am a chiropractor, which I actually don't really like saying because I'm more than just a chiropractor. I'm a movement and biomechanics guy. I have special training in sports and rehab and strength and conditioning. So I am your outside-in guy. Shannon is a registered dietitian.
And I cover the inside out at a cellular level.
Right. So we really say together, it's all about move, feel, and live better from an inside out and an outside in. So all things considered, we are your way to move, live, and feel better. So today we're going to talk about something that is super important because we're coming up on a time of year that is really a detriment to a lot of people. So why don't you take it away?
Well, the interesting thing is a lot of people don't realize it.
Yes.
But then they will go, every year I have put on a little bit of weight. Mm-hmm. And if you look at it, because I've been doing this for over 30 years and I've been working with these type people, look at, when you start to analyze when that is, the average person puts on between 5 to 8 pounds from this time of year till the beginning of the year.
See, I didn't know that until you told me that recently, and that blew my mind. So hedge that between 5 and 8 pounds, let's say it's 6 pounds. 6 pounds over 5 years is 30 pounds.
Well, and if you think about how much you weighed in your, let's say, late 20s. Mm-hmm. And then most people who come to me will say, every year it's just inched up on me. Rarely is there a situation where it's been a significant amount of weight at one time. Mm-hmm. But the funny thing is nobody tries to take a step back and look at, well, how did this happen? How did I put on this extra weight? What people don't realize is that it's two things, really, predominantly. It is our loss of light, and a lot of people don't factor that in. Mm-hmm. But what happens naturally when we have loss of light is we are less active. Mm-hmm. So for instance, coming up for those who still takes Who still participates in daylight savings? Is it everybody?
I think everybody. I think Arizona may be the only place that doesn't.
I know Florida is considered not, but I haven't heard.
Yeah, the rumors have been there's only going to be a year or two left of it, but I don't see the need for it because from what I understand, it was created, decades ago, maybe even a century ago, due to farming and lack of light and something to do with candles even. I mean, it's kind of ridiculous. We have this thing called artificial light where we don't need to change how the day works.
Yeah.
I mean, talk about screwing with your circadian rhythm, right?
Yeah, it does, especially children. My goodness, it throws them. But anyway, so a lot of people don't realize what happens is we start off the holiday season with that time change.
Okay.
And then it just goes from there because we then sandwich. So then as the time goes by, just the way it works, we have less and less light each day during mm-hmm. that time of year. Mm-hmm. I mean, you're pretty much leaving in the dark and coming home in the dark, right?
Right. So what does that mean? So you've been talking for years and years about after dinner, go for a walk, burn those extra calories, help metabolize your dinner. Well, if you get home from work at 5 or 5:30 in the dark, you eat dinner now at 6:30, and it's pitch dark outside, you don't want to go for a walk.
Well, and even where we live, I would say this is the time of year we are most active. For mm-hmm. the next 6 months, it's gorgeous. Mm-hmm. So, but in the evenings, we will not be out because it is dark, mm-hmm. Even though it's gorgeous out. But so what happens is people move less naturally. Mm-hmm. Not only that, but they also are experiencing a lot of climates are freezing. Mm-hmm. And so then they have ice on the ground or they have snow on the ground or it's minus 30 or whatever. Yeah. Everybody's having, we definitely just had a crazy hurricane season. Well, they're going to go through a crazy probably blizzard season.
So again, one more variable to not want to go outside. Okay, I could go walk the dog in the dark, but oh man, it's minus 20 out. Forget it. I'm going to let the dog do its thing in the front yard and I'm going to stay inside.
Right. And, trying to get yourself to get out in the cold, change clothes, do all the things. It just doesn't happen. I mean, we are naturally less active as human beings that, with the daylight savings and the winter time. So then you sandwich that with all the biggest food holidays of the year. And it just makes complete sense. We're moving less and we're eating more. And there is, 3 months of that. And there is your 5 to 8 pounds.
Yeah, there's your formula, right? So start out with Halloween. I don't know how many times when our kids were little where we would buy Halloween candy for the neighborhood. And even though we were the healthy people, we still tried to have, some pretzels or something that wasn't as bad.
We were the house they all skipped.
Yeah. But who loves those little mini Kit Kats and Twix bars and Milky Ways?
Yeah, our kids could tell stories about the dad who
and
took
Eric
all
does
their
too.
favorites.
His hand was just up.
You would always take their favorites. Like you would have them dump out and then get your first pick.
Both kids, when they were little, they knew I loved Kit Kats. So they would be like, Daddy, look, I got a Kit Kat here. And by the time we were done even trick-or-treating with them, I'd eat 20 Kit Kats, which would be compound that to maybe 2 candy bars or something like that. Something I never do. Now,
are you kidding? 20 Kit Kats are only 2? No.
Who are you kidding? They're like the size of my thumb. Maybe 3 candy bars. But here's the difference. It never made a difference for me because I went to the gym that day. I went to the gym the next day, and we continued our same eating patterns. I know a lot of people, and me included sometimes, where you go out and buy your Halloween candy and you buy that extra bag for yourself. And then you have some people who let their kids keep the candy for months and months and months, and then the parents dip at it. And what did we do? We would let our kids pick like 15 to 20 pieces, and we would donate the rest of it because we didn't want them.
Actually, it was only 10, and that sounds really restrictive.
That's mean.
No, but the most hilarious thing, because our kids were not used to eating candy all the time, after about 5 pieces, they would forget about it.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, we just didn't keep that stuff in the house. It was a treat. It was like something we went and got them, like whether we went for ice cream or whatever. It wasn't just something that we kept around the house. So it was, they just weren't thinking about it like other kids were.
And then when we pulled it from them, they were always disappointed seeing all that loot go to the side. They were always like, oh, this stinks. My friends don't. And then again, they would eat their candy over a couple of days and then never mention it again.
Well, and it was in the drawer. They had access to it. But then I would look and it would be months later and maybe 5 pieces were gone. Yeah, except for Dad.
Except for me eating everything. I was the one who would eat most of it.
They should have hidden it from you, quite frankly.
No defense against those things. That's why we can't keep it in the house.
You're the main reason.
I'm the problem.
Yeah.
I'm a real
You're
problem.
You're always the problem. Okay, so that's what we're going to talk about today. Yep. We are going to talk about the Get Better, Not Older survival guide to getting through the holidays and not gaining 5 to 8 pounds.
Love it.
So why don't you, Dr. Rob, start us off by talking about the outside in and what people can do if we've just said that the reason is people are not moving, they're moving less. Mm-hmm. What can people do when they are in the gym to maximize and make up for that reduction in activity?
Okay, so I'm going to rewind. So if you're moving a little bit less, you have to insert a little bit more movement elsewhere. If you live in a city center and you work on the 7th floor, okay, take the elevator to the 5th floor and walk those 2 flights of stairs.
Are you eyeing Eric right now?
I know he does it. Okay. He's fit as can be. Mm-hmm. Seriously, things like that. If you need to talk to a colleague, don't just email them. Walk over to their office. If you need to go to the copier, go to the furthest copier. If it's not freezing cold and you're worried about, getting frostbite, park a little further away. Things like that will accumulate. You'll take more steps, so you'll inherently burn more calories, right?
Well, I'm going to insert something here. Remember, so our kids went to Montessori school, young. And
I know what you're going to say.
Yeah. So their theory was, we had to have a snowsuit, full-on snowsuit that stayed at school, full-on rain suit that stayed at school, full-on any type of weather, anything, because their opinion is there's no such thing as bad weather. There are such things as people who don't know how to dress properly in bad weather.
It was bad preparation for the weather. Yeah.
So you could bundle up and park further away.
100%. Hey, listen, when I was growing up in Toronto, we went out to recess in the middle of the morning, the middle of the afternoon for 30 minutes or whatever it was. And even if it was, minus 20 out, we all went outside still. We played football in the snow. We played soccer in the snow. We played tag. We were still going outside.
Yeah.
So it's just, I think, again, I don't want to brush a broad stroke, but we're a little softer now. We're afraid our kids are going to get hurt. We're giving them choices.
Schools are afraid they're going to get complaints
and
from
get sued.
The parents and get sued because they sent them out in minus 20. And it's definitely, well, that's a whole nother podcast.
Yeah.
But
okay, so we're getting off topic. So you asked me, what can people do? Move a little bit more often when you can control it. Very simple. If it's a decent day, and again, it's not icing and it's not 50 mile an hour minus 60 winds, park a little further out at the grocery store. Okay. It's adding, if you can't do your regular thing, add in small doses. Okay.
And here's the other thing too. A lot of people are working from home now. I estimated how much less activity they were getting. They're not even getting up and really maybe even showering, or, you know what I mean? They're just getting up and walking over to their desk. They're not walking to their car. They're not walking into the office. All of that compounds. So when you say, going into the office, even if your office is at home, I feel like you can still do a lot of these things. You can make a habit of doing 10 chair squats before you get up and down. You can make a habit of pacing during phone calls. If get up and pace during phone calls if you need to be on your computer sitting.
Yeah, so I call them, when I do corporate presentations, people always ask about neck pain and upper back pain when it comes to sitting at a computer. And I always say you have to take micro breaks. So when you have to get up to use the bathroom or get water or coffee or lunch or whatever, use that as an opportunity to do a specific stretch to get you out of a position. So let's say you're hunched over here and you've been hammering away at a document. Okay, so when you stand up, do something in reverse of what you've been doing. If you've been going forward, you go backwards. So adding that kind of really premise into exercise, it's okay, you got to get up for a potty break. Like you said, do 10 air squats or 10 push-ups or 10 jumping jacks or 20, but take 20 to 30 seconds and do something to get your heart rate up a little bit. And that will accumulate. A lot of times it's all or nothing for a lot of people. If I don't put on my spandex, if I don't put on my sweatbands or my cross-trainer shoes, I can't train. Well, if you don't have the ability to get to the gym because of a snowstorm, or your family's coming over for a Christmas dinner, when you're waiting for that turkey, don't stand in the kitchen and watch football and eat cookies. Stand in the kitchen and watch football and do 20 air squats.
Which I think people probably listening to this now are rolling their eyes and going, are you kidding me right now?
Yeah, I'm sure they are.
Here's the deal. If you do the same things over and over, you're going to get the same result. So if you are putting on the average of 5 to 8 pounds a year and you're not really sure where it's coming from, I think people need to heed some advice here, because all of these little things, every one of these micro changes compound into a bigger change. 100%. And what I always tell my patients is, especially in the wintertime, I think, when the weather's nice, everybody, I'm going to go for a walk, or I'm going to do this outside or whatever. Okay, so the times of year that you struggle to be more active, have a plan A, have a plan B, and have a plan C. And that sounds ridiculous until you listen to what that means. So plan A is the stars were aligned, your day went exactly as planned, you had put a nice little outfit in your trainers in a bag, you were motivated, you changed as you were leaving the office, and you stopped at the gym and you worked out. Perfect. All right. So then plan B is, okay, so what if that doesn't happen? Like what changes, if you can't get motivated to go to the gym, can you still put on some workout clothes and go to a stairwell within your building, or go walk up and down some halls, or whatever? What's your plan B if plan A falls through? And then plan C is, it's kind of like almost like it would be ridiculous if you did not do this every single day. And so plan C may be 25 jumping jacks. Everybody has time for 25 jumping jacks. It may seem silly, except for the fact when you think of doing 25 jumping jacks 7 days a week, 365 days a year, that's a whole hell of a lot of jumping jacks.
Yeah.
Better than 0.
100%.
1 is even better than 0. So that all or none typically is what gets people this time of year. They think if it can't be exactly what they wanted to do, then what's the point? You have to realize you have to create some backup plans.
Yep. What do we always say, really, when it comes to cheat meals and indulging and living life? Live it, right? If you love Thanksgiving and you love everything that comes with Thanksgiving, turkey, stuffing, desserts, football, sweet, do it. Just remember, you're going to basically eat probably twice the calories you're used to eating. So get activity before, have activity afterwards. If you know you're getting ready to go to a friend's house at 3:00 for Thanksgiving lunch, late lunch, early dinner, go to the gym in the morning, go for a walk, get that in so you don't feel bad about it. And here's the thing I try to tell my patients. Unless you're like a bodybuilder who's prepping for a show, or an athlete who's training for something, who's trying to be anabolic or moving forward or building, make that time of year that we're talking about from October 31st through the new year. Don't make that time of, I'm going to lose weight during this time. Make that time your goal of, I'm not going to gain weight. So don't think of it as, I need to really grind and I'm going to keep creating a deficit. That's a little hard, okay? Because you're
talking in the gym?
I'm talking anything.
Oh, you're not staying in your lane. You're advising them on my stuff. Huh?
No. Well, yeah, okay. Well, gym, but it's not even gym. It's, let's say this is people who just like to walk, but they're not, I'm not going to walk because I've got to prepare Thanksgiving dinner, or I'm not going to walk because there's a good football game on, that sort of thing. I'll do it next week. Okay, so you're not going to walk the way you normally do, okay? If you normally walk 30 minutes, at least walk 10 minutes. I'm just saying do something.
Yeah.
So maybe you're not creating a calorie deficit with your work and your workout and your intake. So you're still continuing to lose weight if that's your goal. I'm talking just don't screw it all up by doing nothing.
And I'm definitely going to get to that. Let's back up, Dr. Rob.
We should.
What can they do? If they do get motivated and get to the gym, they got their plan A, but it wasn't the typical 4 times a week that they're used to, and they're really just getting there a couple days a week.
Yeah.
What can they do when they're there to really maximize the time and burn as much as they can in a shorter amount of time?
Okay, so the first thing that comes to mind is HIIT training, right? High intensity interval training. Tabatas are a great way to do it. So if you're normally a type of person who just likes to get on the treadmill and walk for 30 minutes, or get on a bike and ride for 30 minutes and watch Netflix or whatever, and you don't have 30 minutes, you've only got 15, do a Tabata session, which is...
How do you spell Tabata?
T-A-B-A-T-A. And basically what it is, it's a 4-minute high intensity interval session where you do 20 seconds of really intense work, 10 seconds of rest over 8 sets, which is basically 4 minutes. So you get on a bike, say, and you go as hard as you can for 20 seconds, and then you slow down for 10 seconds. And there's timers. I've got one on my phone. I do that with hitting the heavy bag. I do it with bike intervals when we're riding outside.
There's all kinds of apps.
I do it with bike intervals inside. Well, you can listen to music. It'll still ding, and it's tough, but it's over in 4 minutes. And the cool thing about HIIT training is there are multiple studies that show if you do a 4-minute HIIT session at a really high intensity, you not only burn calories in that 4 minutes, but you continue to burn calories at rest outside of the gym for another 24, sometimes even 36 hours. Whereas if you take 20 minutes or 30 minutes of just steady state cardio, just walking, riding a bike, which is fine, nothing wrong with it, but you're not really getting your heart rate up. You're in zone 2 where you can still hold a conversation. You're not huffing and puffing. That will burn calories in that session. But once that exercise event is over, you haven't affected your metabolic rate. So there is zero metabolic effect after that.
Yeah.
So you got less time, go in there for a shorter period of time, work a little harder, get the hell out.
Yeah.
And again, you've met a minimum requirement to make sure that you've burned some so you can go enjoy some desserts, basically.
Yeah. So then
that's one. What are
the others? Because I know there's others.
Yeah. So a lot of people will do weight training programs where they'll focus on kind of shaping muscles, bicep curls, tricep press downs, that sort of thing. Okay, it's good. Nothing wrong with it. You've got to have strong arms. But your caloric expenditure on a one joint movement is going to be pretty low. So what I would recommend is do multi-joint movements. Do more squats, do more deadlifts, do more full body exercises like chin-ups, pull-ups. If you can't do all those things, you can do them assisted. But do movements where you work multiple joints. Go to the leg press machine because now you're working your knees and you're moving the joints through your ankle, knees, and hips. So you're burning calories in your glutes, quads, hamstring, calves. Doing a bodyweight squat with like a goblet or a kettlebell, like a goblet squat. You're using your core. You're using your arms to hold this up. You're using your glutes, quads. So cumulatively, you're burning way more calories doing those multi-joint movements. That's the difference. People are always like, oh my God, you guys are always in shape. You're making me feel bad. And it's like, well, don't feel bad. We do the work. I mean, we're not doing it to make anybody else feel bad. We're doing it to make us feel good. And I mean, I go back to, when we used to tailgate a lot back where we used to live in Kansas, because tailgating is a huge thing. People would come up to me and be like, "Oh, don't watch me eat this donut, Rob." And I'm like, "Eat the fucking donut." I mean,
hey, watch your mouth.
Sorry. I mean, I eat donuts too if I'm at a tailgate, but I don't do it every day. And then the next day, if I know I've crushed some donuts and some beer and whatever else, I'll go to the gym and work it off. Don't feel bad. Do it. If you've put in the work, you're going to feel less guilty about it. That's the key. So enjoy the holidays. Enjoy, what's that cake your mom makes? Chocolate sheet cake.
Texas sheet cake.
Oh, so good. Every time I walk.
What about my pecan pie?
Your pecan. She makes a gluten, dairy-free pecan pie. That's killer. And I can't help myself.
Well, I'm going to get to some strategies so that you don't turn out like Rob Jones.
I think I've turned out okay. What do you mean?
Well, I'm just saying, you want to know your control?
That hurts my feelings a little bit.
Your wife gets it out of the house.
Yeah, this is true.
Okay.
Or I get it out of the house by eating it all and then throwing it away.
No.
Throwing the package away.
What you don't know is it's all of a sudden disappears and it's not there anymore.
Mm-hmm. That's a real problem.
It's a real problem. Okay, finish up what you were saying about the gym. What else?
Yeah, so so HIIT training, multi-joint movements, and basically circuit training. Okay, so if you want to burn more calories, rest a little bit less. So let's think of it as this. It's a little harder in a public gym because, there's more people in there, right? So if you want to think of doing like some sort of circuit, a circuit is basically moving from one exercise to the next in a prescribed fashion. Okay, you do a push exercise like a push-up, you do a lower body pull exercise like a deadlift, and then you do an upper body pull exercise like a lat pull down, and then a lower body push like a leg press. Okay, if you have a gym that does circuit type training, you can jump to move, and you would go through that 4 exercise cycle. 5 rounds, basically, or 6 rounds, spending 30 seconds at each or a minute at each, and your rest period is the walk to the next apparatus. So your heart rate stays elevated. You don't get any rest in that.
Is that called supersetting?
Yeah, you can call it supersetting, but it's more like a circuit. You're doing it one thing after another.
No breaks between.
No breaks in between.
So you're keeping your heart rate up.
Yes. So it's not ideal. The bodybuilders who listen to this, I don't know if there are any, they'll say, well, that's not ideal for max muscle growth, because you need rest intervals of sometimes 2-3 minutes if you're going to have a huge.
That's not what we're talking here.
That's exactly it. So just keeping your heart rate up will burn more calories. So yeah, so if you're at a big gym and you don't have access, because there's a lot of people in there, get a set of dumbbells, go to the leg press machine, do a set of leg press, 15, 20 reps, go until you're pretty tired. Your last few reps should always be very challenging. And then when you're done the leg press, stand up and do some standing shoulder press. When you're standing and you lift your arms up overhead, you're forcing your heart to work harder to push that blood over your head because it's going against gravity. It's good at elevating your heart rate. And then go back and forth with those 2 exercises without rest. Do 4 to 5 sets of each after a warm-up. And then bam, you've killed 2, but not killed, but you've really worked hard 2 body areas, right? Mm-hmm. And then go to the next thing. Then go to a lat pull down and grab a kettlebell. Do a set of lat pull downs. Don't rest. Stand up. Grab a kettlebell. Do a set of goblet squats, and then do that for 5 or 6 rounds, and then jump to the next thing. So now again, you're doing some cardio and weight training at the same time. It's kind of the. I don't want to say it's exactly like it, but that's kind of how CrossFit athletes work it. They do complex. That's why they always look shredded, basically, because they do a lot of HIIT type stuff. But they'll do complex movements like a clean or a snatch, but they'll do it for a minute straight, basically. Now, I'm not saying that because those are skill-based movements, but the idea is doing something without rest, and then doing something else, and that's going to keep your heart rate up.
Well, I think we could add that to the holiday guide.
Yeah, we can.
That's a good idea.
Look for the GBNO Hey Dr. Rob app holiday workout.
Okay,
coming to your phone soon.
Neighborhood. Okay. Anything else?
No, I think that's it. I mean, it's not rocket science. It's just if you have a little less time, do a little bit more intensity.
Well, and I think it's important to note here, because I'm going to get into the food part of this, is that when you're talking about, so I have always said in my practice, because I do weight loss for a living, we have a losing period of the year, and then we have a weight maintenance period of the year. And quite honestly, you will never have to worry about gaining weight if you know how to be in a losing zone and you know how to be in a maintenance zone. So that's what I do with my patients, is I get them proficient at those 2. And as long as you know how to stay in those 2, the scale will never see pounds that you've already lost ever again. And that's really the goal. For what you are doing, I think, so what I tell my patients is our losing season is from the 2nd week in January, and that's by design, because that's by the time everybody is done taking vacations. Their guests are gone. The kids are back in school. Definitely the older kids are getting ready to go back to college. It just seems like our patterns are back to normal versus the holiday crazy. So the 2nd week in January till Halloween is our losing season. And from Halloween until the 2nd week in January is our maintenance. Mm-hmm. And I would say that would probably be a good idea for what you do, in that you're not really trying to build muscle during that time. You're just trying to maintain what you have.
Yeah. So I don't, say it as eloquently as you do, because I'm not that bright. But that's the idea, is basically, again, if you're training for something, you're going to keep doing it because you're in that mode. But if you're just a person who doesn't love exercise and you're just doing it because it's healthy, don't think of making this season a progression part of the year.
Yeah.
Make it a maintenance part of the year. If you've built a baseline of muscle memory in your body, okay, like you've worked out for several years, you're strong enough to do a squat, a bench press, a pull-up, whatever, and you're proficient at it, you're going to maintain that muscle mass. Really, research shows that to not lose muscle that you've built, you only need a couple of days a week of dosing your muscles with some resistance.
And that's exactly what we just illustrated, was that that time of year when we lose light and people just aren't getting as much activity or not getting into the gym as much, you need to be like, let's just call a spade a spade. I don't know what is wrong with that time of year just saying, hey, we're just going to try to stay steady. We're, we've got enough other things going on.
Yeah.
It is the way it is. So let's create a plan that time of year that we sink into every single year. And that goes with food and that goes with movement and exercise.
Yeah. So another thing too is most, even medium to small size cities like where we used to live in Lawrence, Kansas, have recreation centers.
Yeah.
We had a really great recreation center, and some of them have indoor tracks. Some of them have open gyms. Find something you don't hate. That's the main thing. Whenever people say to me, I want to start exercising, but I hate going to the gym, then I always say, okay, well, that's not going to be for you then. Find something you like to do because you're going to be way more apt to do it. And really, we know weightlifting is super important because muscle mass is super important because it's cardio protective, it's brain protective, it's cancer protective. We know through research that you have to have muscle as you age.
And it's metabolic Spanx.
It's metabolic Spanx. Okay, I don't know what that means.
You need to add that to your repertoire.
That's a girl thing to say, though. Spanx is not a dude thing.
Well, okay, so it's a sponge for all that sugar you're taking in.
Okay, exactly. So it's cardio protective and it's mind protective. Actually, there's studies now that are showing that when you resistance train and you really like burn a muscle with effort and you get that sensation of lactic acid, that burning sensation, the muscles actually release, forget the hormone name, but they actually release happy hormones.
Is that oxytocin?
No, it's something that stimulates oxytocin, but I don't know the exact thing it releases. So the point being is if you've already built some muscle, you're not going to lose it over a couple of months. If you do the bare minimum at the gym, a couple of sessions is all you need. And then back to the rec center thing. Go and walk in the rec center if it's freezing cold outside. If you like to play basketball or if your kids play volleyball or basketball, go shoot some hoops with them at the rec center. Or if it's not a freezing cold day and the sun's out and it's maybe around 0, those are days we used to go outside and do stuff with the kids all the time.
Well, and there's now indoor pickleball.
100%. There's ways to do it. It's like everything else.
You have to have a plan.
Well, you've also got to put the effort into doing it too. And it's fun. You're going to feel better. Don't think of it as, I got to go to the gym. Think of it as, I'm going to go to the gym and I'm going to get to feeling better. Because I don't know too many people who go to the gym and feel worse afterwards.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's a lot of the times, especially because workouts and everything seem to drop off that time of year. It's really, if you just have a plan and say to yourself, I'm not going to do that again this year, and have a plan for it, again, that A, B, and C. I mean, there were times that I can remember the girls would be sick or whatever, and I couldn't get to the gym, and they would see me running up and down the stairs in the house. They'd say, Mom, what are you doing? Couldn't get to the gym, just trying to get a little activity. And then there they were following me up and down the stairs, So you got to think outside the box. Like it's not an all or nothing. You just have to, there's nothing wrong with that time of year being hey, I'm going to hold the fort.
Yeah.
I'm going to just maintain my musculature and I'm going to keep my weight steady. And then, if you've done a really good job of losing all year and you get to this point and you're like, oh my gosh, I just don't want to gain any back. Well, then don't.
Yeah.
Just get into weight maintenance and hold the fort during that time of year, and then we'll get right back to it.
Make it fun, too. Like, remember the Kennedys back in the day before us? I guess they would have these epic family football games. I mean, go do stuff like that. I mean, it doesn't have to even be a gym trip. Like, after you eat, before your football game comes on, go throw the football around outside. Just again, we're being redundant here, but just add in little bits. Okay, now I want to ask you something. The food thing, okay, because there's so much good food. What
Did you see that was like a guttural response?
I know,
there.
because it's great. And I don't even really like turkey. I mean, I'm talking like the stuffing and fruit salad, which interestingly enough, growing up in Canada, fruit salad to us was just like cut up fruit in a bowl. But your mother makes fruit salad with cut up fruit and Cool Whip.
Of course.
It's so bad.
We take anything healthy and turn it into the worst thing
so
possible
bad for
in
you,
America.
but it's so good.
Well, okay. So I actually, doing what I do for a living, we really do an actual plan. This is when everybody learns what it's like behaviorally to maintain. So let's talk about the difference between losing and maintaining. Losing, you have to create a 3,500 calorie deficit under what your body needs to maintain its current weight. When you do that, you will lose 1 true pound of body fat. Okay. So if you think about that, when you're in let's say you're trying to lose about a pound a week, when you're in a maintenance phase, you get that 3,500 calories back. And let me tell you, we need it because you're not moving as much and you're eating more. So you need to learn how to have that 3,500 calories back and not overdo it. Okay, so the whole point is we are trying to stay put. And that, I mean, honestly, I would say that is most everybody gets the losing thing. It's the maintenance phase that really throws them. People do not understand what it takes. They go from losing to gaining. They don't really have never gotten proficient at maintenance.
So what's the strategy for that?
The strategy is that's only 500 calories a day. Okay. So if we're talking that 1 pound a week, so you have to get strategic. I mean, if that time of year, here's the deal. It's what you do before and after the day. I assure you, Halloween, Thanksgiving, Christmas, and New Year's, 4 days out of the year are not your problem. Okay?
Yeah.
The problem is what you do before and what you do after. Are you letting Halloween completely hijack you and throw in the towel because you're like, might as well, oh, look, I'm walking through the office and everybody's brought their leftover candies and I'm taking one every time I walk to the bathroom. So I'm kind of not doing any good moving more because I'm eating all these little candies. And then I go home and then there's more there. And then, oh, well, gosh, I've already done this and Thanksgiving's coming, so why even try? And then that goes to, Christmas parties, all of the things. And before you know it, you've overindulged the entire time. What I work with people on is having a plan before and after. And so that's what I'm going to talk about today. So there's going to also be a survival guide food-wise for holiday for people as well for the GBNO. So it'll be the GBNO survival guide to the holidays.
Okay. So let me ask you this, devil's advocate. I'm in my office and there's bowls every 10 feet of Halloween candy, mini candy bars, that sort of thing. How do you resist it?
I have one suggestion that mitigates being able to walk by and pick it up.
What's that? Put your hands.
Put gum in your mouth.
Oh, nice. Put gum in your mouth. I never thought of that. I thought you were going to say put your hands in your pockets.
I mean, that could work too. However, if you have gum in your mouth, you're not going to put candy in your mouth.
That's a really good idea.
Yeah. You have to. So here's the thing. This is what I tell everybody. Okay, let's have a plan. Halloween, you put 10 of your favorites in a baggie. Eat one a day for 10 days, knock yourself out, eat them all at once. Who cares? Just have a plan and say to yourself, once they're gone, and you say no. Guess what? You're in control. Did you know this, Rob Jones? You can say no to the Kit Kats.
I don't know if I can. I'll try.
But you can.
I'll try.
Because I see you make hard decisions for your health every day. You choose not to. Is that true?
I think because I know it's not going to affect me because I will work harder at the gym the next day because that's how I'm wired. I don't care if I make that choice.
Okay.
But I'm disciplined before and after it.
See,
so I don't see it as anything that's going to affect me negatively. Now, if I were struggling with my weight, then I would be like, we need to have a conversation. But for me, I don't find it a big deal because I don't gain I've been the same weight for years and years and years.
But hey, Dr. Rob, we just did a podcast on the carnivore diet, which made you very sick.
Yeah.
And so guess what? This holiday season, hey, Dr. Rob needs to stick to his diet. What are you going to do?
I'm going to eat Kit Kats.
You're going to put 10 in a baggie and you're going to stop.
I know.
Okay. So that's what I recommend people do. Put your favorites, but control the portion, put them in the baggie. Once the baggie's empty, you're done. Yeah. And you just say, I'm done. And then you put gum in your mouth so you're not tempted to do it the other times. Or you say to your kids, pick your favorites. We are donating the rest of this. Get it out of the house. Whatever you got to do to, if it's sitting out.
Yeah, that's the problem with the Texas chocolate sheet cake.
It's too big to put away.
Oh, is that? Well, that's right. It's on that huge tray. And it's just, she cuts them into these little bites. So every time I walk by to go to the bathroom or whatever, I was.
What if you had gum in your mouth?
Grabbing it. Yeah, you're right. I've never done. Why haven't you suggested that before?
Okay. So then that's Halloween.
Okay.
But then you say to yourself, that's it. When the baggie's gone, Halloween's over.
Yep. Okay, now here's another devil's advocate. Christmas season with parties.
Honey, we're getting there.
Oh, my head.
You're ahead.
Sorry.
Okay, so then after you're done with the 10 in the baggie, you then go, okay, I'm back to making good choices during the week, right? So come on. We have October 31st. We have all the way till the end of November. You have a lot of time to make healthy choices. But let's say you have Friendsgiving this weekend, and then you go to your spouse's family this weekend, and then you finally do your, so that's what happens.
Yeah.
That's fine. On the day, knock yourself out. It's what you do before then and after then on the week, the days between.
Yeah.
You can't let leftovers keep creeping in.
Yeah.
So when it comes to Thanksgiving, what I recommend people do, eat whatever you want on the day, but then have a plan for leftovers. You need to say, okay, I'm going to do 2 days of pecan pies and leftovers and everything I love, and then it's being donated or given or whatever, and it's out of the house. You can't let Thanksgiving, then all of a sudden, come early December, all the office parties start and all the things, right? So it's very easy to overindulge that time of year. You have to be sensible. If you're moving more, you're not moving more, but if you have a plan to stay active and then you have a plan on how you're going to handle the leftovers and you stick to that plan, the whole goal is we just call it even by the time January 15th hits.
Yeah. Okay, so one more devil's advocate question. What about the people who are like, I can't waste this food?
Donate it.
We spent money on it.
Donate it. Go give it to a homeless shelter.
You said something I never really thought about. There's a huge space of time. I think Thanksgiving falls. It's usually the third Thursday of November. I think it's the fourth Thursday of November
But here's
this year.
the problem. People buy the candy way too soon.
Yeah.
So don't buy the candy until the day of Halloween.
Yeah.
And you're going to get a better deal on it anyway.
Good call, yeah.
Okay.
So on your way home from work.
That's right.
Get the candy.
And then there used to be a dentist office in our hometown that would take donations and send it overseas to the troops.
Yeah.
So I'm just telling you, you can put plans in place. If you go through this holiday season how you have in previous years, you will get the same result. This is all about making changes that compound up to a bigger change that all of a sudden you get through a holiday season where you've maintained even though you've indulged, even though you've moved less, you have maintained your weight during that time, which means great cellular health. You shouldn't be gaining weight that time of year. There should be moderation. It's not all or none.
Yeah.
There's what's called banking calories, too.
Explain.
If we're talking about that 3,500 calories and you want that 3,500 calories to use towards a special function on the weekend, you can really be, like make sure that you are in that deficit all week under what your body needs to maintain its current weight so that you have those 3,500 calories for the weekend.
Understood.
There's all kinds of strategies.
Can I give a Halloween strategy? This is what I used to do.
Are you still thinking of Kit Kats?
Yes.
Oh,
it's very hard to move past. So at the end, we always used to take the kids out. We would leave a big, which is cauldron filled with stuff. And when they were little, we would take them out, we'd come back, and then the older kids would always come, like the middle schoolers and even sometimes the 9th and 10th graders. And at the end of the night, if there was anything left, the last couple of kids, I'd be like, open up your bags. And I would dump every last bit of what we had into their bags so it wasn't in the house.
Well, we never stayed home to hand out. We would leave a big sign saying Happy Halloween, take one and leave others for your neighbors, blah, blah, blah.
But usually we'd come back and there would be some left, and it was the older kids. I'd go, take what you want or open your bags. And they'd go, really? And I'd be like, yep, because I know whatever's there, I'm going to eat it.
Okay, Dr. Rob, I didn't realize we had such a problem.
I got a problem.
Yeah.
I'm a real problem.
All right, so I think that's it in a nutshell. However, I think we've come to the conclusion that we will be working on a holiday survival guide.
I have another question.
Okay.
Booze.
Well, again.
Because parties at friends' houses, Christmas parties in your neighborhood, block parties, office parties. Alcohol is a lot of calories, especially when you're having...
I have a news flash.
Let's hear it.
Calories that you drink count.
Of course.
A lot of people don't.
I know a lot of people.
I mean, a lot of people say, it's cold outside. I'm going to stop at Starbucks and I'm going to get this nice little pumpkin la, whatever they get.
I think that's on the menu, the pumpkin la.
Exactly.
It's called the pumpkin la latte.
That's right.
Yeah.
And if you don't have it at Starbucks, you need to add it.
Yeah, and it's 1,200 calories with like 10 teaspoons of sugar or something like that, right?
$1,200.
Yeah, $1,200. Yeah. Over a month. I mean, a lot of people cumulatively,
my God.
they'd be blown away if they knew what they were actually spending on
lollilots.
On lollilots.
Okay, so you just can't do all the things. Like, if you know you're going to have a drink that evening, then be mindful all day and nourish your body and do all the things and then have your drink that night.
Right.
You have to decide it's kind of like a bank account. So if you're an entrepreneur and if you were in times of where the money wasn't coming in, what do? You cut back. Mm-hmm. So you have to budget the same. You only have so many calories a day to stay in the maintenance zone. What are you going to do with them? Mm-hmm. You have choices to make. It's all about your choices. And if you know these things are coming up and those are important to you, then save up for those or have the good habits all together because you know that's coming. You can't just throw in the towel and it be overindulging all day, every day for 3 months straight.
Mm-hmm.
It's just not going to work.
Mm-hmm.
That's my message.
It's a good message.
Okay. So the takeaway is we're going to do a guide that everybody's going to want.
The GBNO holiday plan.
And we're going to make sure everybody understands how to keep their weight stable over the holiday season.
So the overall message is have fun, enjoy your friends, enjoy your family, enjoy the season, eat, drink, be merry, but don't stop everything you've been doing to help you.
Don't drive.
And don't drink and drive, obviously. Maybe don't get totally stuffed on food and have a tryptophan coma and drive home as well.
One of my favorite things to do is go for a walk because, come on, Halloween and in November, it's not that cold. Mm-hmm. I mean, put some jackets on and go outside and get the family together and go. I remember last year we got everybody together and went for a walk around the lake down in Dallas. Mm-hmm. Obviously, it's a little warmer there, but still, people can bundle up and go for a walk.
Yeah, and there's a lot of actual Thanksgiving Day 5Ks that even if you're not a runner, good for charity, go walk it with your family. And again, there you go. You've basically spent a bunch of calories on a 5K walk. I don't know what the burn is on that, but that's going to buy you some pretty darn good Christmas and Thanksgiving
That'll
dinner right
buy
there.
You some pumpkin pie.
Some pumpkin pie and a la latte.
There you go. Okay, let's wrap up for today.
Okay, so the message: bank the calories, maintain shorter bursted workouts that are a little bit more effortful but get you in and out.
Have a plan.
Have a plan.
You got to think about it. You have to say, oh, wow, this time of year is not going away. The holidays are not going away. So what's your plan? Everybody always says, you two look exactly the same as when you got married. Well, how do you think that is? I mean, we haven't gained weight year to year because we have a plan. And that's really what it takes, is you've got to make a conscious effort.
You know what, though? I don't even think we have a plan. We live a lifestyle where we don't change anything just because it's the holidays.
Well,
I mean, seriously, that's the difference. Like if we go to Dallas to see your family, your brother and I go to the gym. I mean, that's just what we do. And if he's not available to go to the gym, you and I go for walks. We incorporate our normal routine even when we're away.
It's a lifestyle.
It's a lifestyle.
We live a healthy lifestyle, and we enjoy that. And I do believe that once people learn how to do it and they master it and it becomes second nature and you realize how much better you feel, then it's your impetus to keep doing it. And
100%.
That's kind of how this is. So get better, not older. Enjoy the holidays and look for our survival guide.
Yes, the GBNO Holiday Survival Guide. We're going to call it that? I like that name.
Okay.
Just came up with it on the spot. All right. For Dr. Rob from the outside in.
And for Shannon from the inside out.
Get better, not older.